Hey guys, it's Bryce, and today I'm going to be starting another new series called Climbing the Rating Ladder. So, in this series, I'm going to be playing against people between the ratings of 100, and I'll probably top off around 1000. So, first video, which is this one, I'll be playing against players 100 rated up to 200. The next video will be 200 to 300, and we'll go up 100 increments all the way to 1000. So I'm going to be playing 3-minute games with 2-second increment so that I have a little bit more time to talk about the different moves that my opponents are making. And overall, it's just going to be a very instructive video. Each video is going to be very instructive. We're just going to be talking about um, my different ideas, my thought process behind what moves I'm making and why I'm making them. And my hope is that both you and I will learn something from these games against the lower rated players on chess.com. So I'm going to go ahead and find a game about a 3-2, maybe something different. It just depends on what challenges are open right now. And I'll be playing against somebody between 100 rating and 200. But here we have a 189 rated player. Play e4. I'll do e5. I think what we're going to see a lot in this video is a lot of people resigning early in the game and a lot of aborting the game because most people don't play at 100 level. Most of the really low rated players, they're just what we call sandbagging, where they're artificially lowering their ratings by purposely resigning every single game until their rating is really, really low. So, as I predicted, they have disconnected. So, alright, they're going to stick with this. I don't know how long they're going to stay with this game, but we'll play it out as long as I can. Alright, let's start challenging the center here. This move right here isn't a particularly useful move, as it doesn't really do a whole lot, and as white he would really be better off playing knight to f3, or maybe bishop to d3. Okay, so they're going to push the pawn. That allows me to win this, so either that or I can just push the guy. I'll just push the knight back. It's simpler. Knight drops back. Yeah. Probably a good move here would be just to develop your knight, develop a bishop out, perhaps to there. Or you could push a pawn. One of these would probably be best, just to push that knight away. Safai 20 has disconnected. He's reconnected again. Looks like he's got some poor connection here. I'm just going to develop. Since he's not attacking my knight in the center, there's really no reason to move it. So I'm just going to go here. His main threat right now is bishop takes on d4, but I always can recapture with my pawn, or with my knight, or even with my queen. So that pawn is overprotected, and therefore it is completely safe. Alright, another move that isn't particularly useful, it can kind of rearrange his knight to a new square, but overall it's a good idea not to move the same piece too many times in the opening unless you're forced to or you have to in order to avoid checkmate or in order to prevent the loss of material. There we go. That's a good move. I'll just retreat my knight back to where he came from since it's a safe square and it's also helpful. As ideas like knight to g4 followed by queen to f6 could be setting up a mating threat on f2. Alright, so he's pushing around my knight a little bit. I could either go to b8 or to a5. Both of those are safe for the moment. I'm just worried that if I go knight a5, he might be able to move queen down and then attack that knight. And then I think my knight is trapped, since I don't think there's anywhere he can go. So I'm going to drop my knight back to here. Another option was to go here, but I don't see a reason why that's particularly helpful. Maybe just re-centralize it, but for the moment I'll leave the knight here. I'll probably push a pawn forward just to get rid of this guy, and then we'll just go from there. So I'll just castle right now. Okay, very good developing move by chessusee 20. I'm going to respond by pushing this pawn away. I'm kind of hoping he takes, because if takes, I can recapture with my knight, and my knight is back into the center again. And I notice how I have 1, 2, 3 minor pieces in the center, whereas he only has 1 and 2. So already I'm doing better here. So this pawn is a free pawn, so I'm just going to take that. There's nothing defending it. Moving bishop here also allows this, but after that take, I can probably just move up my queen to probably d5, just to push the knight away, and then I have a stronger center here. So I'll go there. This is leaving him a little bit in a pickle where he has 2 pieces that are weak. So he's going to hang on to that guy. I could either maneuver my knight, or I can just take this pawn. I'll just take the pawn. I'm looking at some ideas where knight takes there, but that's not really a threat, because after rook takes, queen cannot take the bishop because my queen would recapture. Okay. That move's a little bit random, as it doesn't really create any threats or start any threats. The only thing that it could be doing is helping out the push of that pawn. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my knight in here, and I'm going to try to trade off his knight, just to get his knight out of the center. Because this is a very strong piece here. It has a lot of squares it's attacking. So I'm going to try to remove that attacker. Alright, we have knight back. I think I can... Ooh, I have a really dangerous attack right there. After a rook here, bishop there could be a very dangerous threat. So I'm just going to make the quiet move rook to e8. I just am noticing that the queen and the king are on the same they're on the same row, so they're very weak. They're very vulnerable. So I'm going to try to go after that. Okay, so this move just entirely overlooks this threat right here. So I'm going to go bishop g4, revealing the attack. And if you notice, there's no way you can even stop this. If you try to go knight to there, I could just take the knight, and I still have this pin here. There's nothing that can block this. Probably the best move here would just be to take, just to cut your losses, at least for the queen, you'd get a rook. And then after rook recaptures with check. I'm in a very good position. So he's going to escape the threat. I'm just going to take the queen. Now, since I'm up material, I can just start trading pieces off, but I'm looking for some kind of attack here. I also don't want to run out of time, so I'll just take the knight. Good job. He captures the correct way. Gonna check him. Another easy check. I'm gonna go queen here. I'm threatening this move right there. Ooh, good defense. I actually did not mean to move there. That was an accident. I tried to right click, but still a win is a win. So good job, chessusee20. Thank you for not resigning and not aborting the game. I noticed he had some connection issues. But that was a pretty good game. A much better game than I was expecting from a sub 200. So very good job. Very good job. If you were watching chessusee20, excellent job. So let's take a look at the analysis of this game. One thing I've noticed from lower rated players is that they really like pushing the rook pawns forward. While for beginners at chess this feels like a good move because the rook is a very powerful piece and it's easy to move a pawn, get your rook to there, and then centralize your rook. I've seen this countless times while playing against lower rated players. And this is a very vulnerable piece simply because it's not very mobile at the beginning of a game. Rooks are best saved for the end game where there's lots of open space, many open files back and forth that the rook can slide around to. So at the beginning of your game, if you're at this rating level, I would suggest try to get your king and queen pawns into the center, followed by moving your knights in for the attack. After knights, then bishops. Get your bishops out, and then from there you should have a very solid opening because all of your minor pieces are out and you have lots of attacking opportunities. Whereas moving your pawns, your rook pawns, it starts to weaken your attack because it doesn't really challenge the center, and the center is where all of the attacks later on in the game are mounted from. So you want to take over these center 4 squares as soon as possible. So his next move, good. We're developing. Another move that I would hesitate to make myself, I would probably go for some other kind of attack, more like moving a pawn up one, getting your bishop out, maybe moving your knight out would be better. He noticed the threat, he moved his knight away. Got the pawn. Oh, he moved this way because I was attacking the knight. Now moving my bishop there, I was not intending to attack the knight because the knight is defended by the rook, so there's no good reason why I should trade off the material if I don't get an advantage. So he would have been better just to leave the knight there since I'm not threatening to take that. The reason why I move my bishop to this square is just so that it's centralized. It has more attacking opportunities. Just eyeing up the board later on in the game. That was good of him to get that pawn up, attack my knight. Another knight attack. I wonder if I could have made that move instead. Probably would have been stronger. That was actually a very good eye of him to see that after I take here, this pawn is undefended, whereas he can still recapture. So it's very good. That was a very good move for him to make. queen defending, that was another good move. Good job defending your knight. But then here he just completely overlooked. After moving there, that allows this awful skewer of the queen to the king, which is unavoidable. So his better move probably would have been just to get the queen out. After I moved there, he probably should have just moved that queen somewhere away so that the queen would not be skewered to the king, just to remove that threat. So after that, I got the skewer check. Then I just went on to trade off some material, go through a couple checks here and there. But this was actually a very good move as well because the knight is defending that bishop, so I can't just simply take there because after that, knight takes, and I just lost a queen. So that was a good move. I moved. Oh, right, that was a mouse slip. Accidentally moved my queen over, but he ran out of time before he was able to make another move. So that was overall a very good game for what I was expecting at 100 rating level. So let's see if we can play another game. I'm gonna go back to live chess and see if I can find another open challenge somewhere. Alright, so I was able to find a game against a 164, but it's a 1-minute game. So it's going to be very fast. Oh man, this is going to be painfully quick. So I apologize ahead of time. Alright, he drops the knight. I'm challenging his knight. Threat is still there. He dropped another knight. Very good for me. Take the pawn. Looking at some kind of bishop check right there. Gonna take that. It's an attack on the rook. I'm gonna check him right there. The pawn's gonna go down anyway. Take the rook there. This is a little secret attack on the queen. I wonder if he's gonna spot it. Ah, he did not. Unfortunate. I also have this nice fork right here on these two pieces. That's a free piece. Another free piece. Another free piece. It's just kind of gobbling up pieces at this point. Have 10 seconds to checkmate him. And that was a very close win. 0.3 of a second left over after that. But that was a pretty good game. I've played a number of bullet games before, and that was a very strong game. Yeah. I mean, of course, they dropped a lot of pieces, but it was still a pretty strong game for a 100 rated player. So great job to Lydiel's My Pack Mule. Good game. Just say good game. I don't think there's really a good reason to analyze that. That was just too quick for for any kind of game report or analysis. So I'm just going to go back. I'm going to see if I can find another opponent between the ratings of 100 and 200. And if I can, I'll be right back. Alright, so we just got an opponent. It was another 1-minute game. I couldn't find anybody else within the correct rating range at a longer time format. I'm anticipating queen takes. No, okay. So I'm just going to try to develop my knights here. Oh, I could have taken that. We'll see if he moves it. If not, I can just take it again. Awesome. This is also a hanging piece as there's nothing defending it, and I'm also threatening to take there. I could see if I could get a quick scholar's mate by going queen there, followed by checkmate there. See how that works. Other than that, I'll just like castle or something. Can take there, attacks the queen. But it looks like Noel Tex is going to flag. Their moves are kind of slow. There goes the queen. I don't think I can checkmate this quick, but we'll try. Because I think they're going to run out of time before I can do anything. Yeah, they're going to run out of time. Alright, so I got another opponent, a 182, and this is a 2-minute game with a 1-second increment. So, took a little while, but I finally got a game. I think it took like 20 minutes. 20 minutes to find this opponent since my last one. We are playing against Mr. Seiko. Might be pronounced Psycho. I don't know if that was what they intended or not. 182 from Russia. So nice to see you. Okay, so this is a very good attack already. They're threatening to take my knight, followed by attacking this guy. I think he's thinking that I had opened with a king pawn, whereas king pawn, there's nothing to defend this after he takes my knight. But since I opened with the queen's pawn opening, I don't have to worry about him taking. If he takes, I can simply recapture, and if he were to take, I can just recapture with the queen. So I'm just going to push the bishop away. If he takes here, I'm going to capture with the king pawn, just because I want to keep my king side intact in case I want to castle there. So they're just going to keep a pin. Meanwhile, I'll just continue to develop. Okay. Now normally I would not make this move, but right now I'm going to go for it just because this is a weak piece. If I were able to capture, this also results in an attack on his bishop, and also somewhat an attack on this pawn here, even though it is defended by the queen at the moment. If my knight stays there, my queen can capture, or my knight can capture, and then I can win the pawn. So I'm going to go for this attack. Good defense. Very good defense. Can I push that pawn? Oh, I meant to right click, but I guess I clicked. Okay, well, we'll stick with that move, I guess. Another bishop attack. If he takes, I'm going to take with the queen, just because I don't want to get doubled pawns too easily. Wow, I have 30 seconds. I'm going to have to speed up a little bit more. So my next plan is to get this knight out, followed by castling kingside. The queen there is a bit of a threat, so I'm going to have to be a little careful. But I'm going to castle nonetheless. Wow, it got 18 seconds. I'm going to have to move a little quicker. I'm going to pre-move that capture, assuming he takes my bishop. If he doesn't take, I can just check, which is a one piece. There's nothing defending that. I'll just retreat my bishop. Have to watch out for this pawn advancing to fork these two guys. Gonna see if the opponent flags here. Let's go there. I like that. I'm hitting these two pieces. If given the opportunity, I'll probably take the bishop. I don't even know what he traded. I just captured quickly, and that's a dropped piece. So I'm going to take that with check, and timeout is going to decide the game. Good game by Mr. Seiko, 163 from Russia. If you're watching, you're on YouTube, so congratulations, and you played a very good game. Yeah, um, it was a good game. I mean, it was fun playing against you, and thanks for playing. So, even game ended by a blunder. Let's check out the analysis. Oh boy, I got a whole bunch of these achievements. Alright, so he went queen pawn, basic development. This was a very good move just to prevent the queen taking and causing a lot of problems with this pawn and also this bishop. I notice now that, let's say he had moved, I don't know, something like that. After I take, I can't actually take this because he can simply go bishop there, which defends this once by the bishop, once by the queen, and of course with this example move also is defended by the knight. So I'm not sure if that was the best move I could have made, but that's the one I made. Alright, development. If you were in this rating level, I would recommend if your opponent sends their bishop to attack this knight, typically which is trying to skewer the knight to the king, or vice versa, the knight to the queen, best move is actually to move your pawn up one. This attacks the bishop and causes your opponent to decide what they're going to do with that piece. Are they going to trade off the knight, or are they going to back off? If your opponent backs off, that buys you an extra move, which is very valuable, especially in the beginning of the game. You'll have more time to develop your pieces and build up a strong defense. He retreats. This is a very good square for him to retreat to, simply because it's attacking this king side, whereas if I decide to castle, this bishop pointing to the h7 square and this queen, which is pretty active, can both cause me a lot of trouble on my king side. I castled anyway because I'm just hoping that I can fend off any attacks. Instead of pushing this pawn, I would actually say start pushing some kingside pawns. Since I'm castled and I don't have a whole lot of pieces aimed to this side of the board, it would be a very good and very strong attack. But here, moving this pawn, he left his bishop undefended, so that's also the thing you got to watch out for, is just double check those pieces. Make sure there's nothing that's hanging, which means make sure there's no piece that doesn't have a defender. That is the number one thing that decides any game under the rating of 2000, is actually blunders, and also tactics as you get further along in the ratings. So I'm just going for the attack. So he took a pawn with a knight. He must have overlooked that I have knight takes, pawn takes, and queen takes, while he only has queen takes. So here he just traded a full piece, which is worth 3 points, for a pawn, which is 1 point. That's a net loss of 2 points. So just double check the tradings. Just double check those trades that you're making. Make sure that they're actually valuable. And then after this check, he ran out of time, unfortunately. So, good game by my opponent. And I think that's where I'm going to wrap up this video. My next videos are going to be climbing the rating ladder, 200 rating up to 300 rating. We're going to see if there are any noticeable differences between their gameplay. And also, I'm going to be continuing to play against the chess.com computers. I'm going to see how high I can get. I think I'll probably just continue on through the different levels, even if I can't beat it at a certain level. I will probably just continue up the levels just to see, I guess, how quickly they can defeat me. Thank you so much for watching the video. please click the subscribe button and also the bell icon which is next to it so that you're notified each time I upload a video. Leave a thumbs up on this video, helps other people find this channel, and until next time, take care, and I'll see you later.